Let's get to our last topic of the day. I wanted to look at the World Series odds here because we just published an article today at justbaseball.com with our updated odds from BetMGM. And in the article, you can see what the odds, what the change in the odds have been. So what we're going to do is we're going to look through here and we are going to pick our best bet. So the odds we would take, and then also who we think is going to win the World Series at this stage of the season. So currently you have the Dodgers are the favorites, plus 325, Braves at plus 410, Yankees at plus 700, Phillies plus 900, Orioles plus 1100, and then you have the Astros and the Rangers at plus 1500. This is what I was saying. How are the Astros still at plus 1500? I mean, it's crazy.
It is. I think, again, that a lot of that has to do with their resume, with their pedigree, with the roster that they have, where it's just going to look a lot different than it has in the past. Instead of coasting into September, they're going to be grinding into September. And then again, once you make it to October, it's anyone's race. And if you still have Justin Verlander there, you got a healthy Framber Valdez, a lot of those young guys, maybe Ronel Blanco is still effective. You like the odds of a team like that could win its third World Series here and not very long. So if you're looking at value for something like that, like you said, you're going, I don't know about that. That seems like it could be a reach for a team that's so far back. But again, at the same time, that they've dropped a lot, which means now there's even more value there at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, you grabbed them before the season. That's quick math, like plus 850 or plus 950, something like that. So it is a drop, and I guess that's probably what they'd say. We've already dropped them, 650 odds, but I wouldn't bet on the Astros. So let's start with who do we think is going to win the World Series of those teams, or if you have someone off the board, who's your pick right now? I think we might end up with the same pick, but I'll let you take the team first.
Yeah. Again, once you get to the postseason, it's a totally different thing. But if I'm picking based on how good this team is and how good they'll be in the regular season and the dudes that they're going to have in October, and I'm also going to completely forget everything I saw last October, I got to say the Los Angeles Dodgers are still going to be the team to beat in all of Major League Baseball.
Okay, you know what? We have different teams. But it's hard to ignore it. They are the betting favorite. I mean, it
Tell
makes
me why
sense.
you don't like the Dodgers then. So you don't have the Dodgers, and we'll hear who you've got in a second. What do you not like about the Dodgers?
That they choke in October all the time.
That's important. That's kind of important. Can't argue that.
I mean, look, on paper, yes. And I think that the team that I'm going with is the Phillies. I actually think the Phillies are the team that's going to win it all this year. And the reason why I'm picking them is it feels like it's just been building, right? The last 2 years, they've been so close. And the way they've gotten off to such a great start this year, it feels like it's all coming together for them. And it's hard for me to look at any series if Ranger Suarez is this, and they're going to have Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, and Aaron Nola. We've seen that exact formula get them right on the doorstep. And I think this is the year that they put it all together and they win it all.
When considering all the factors, I also would have said the Philadelphia Phillies. So you did have me read right? Because if you combine the odds plus 9,000, with the
Or
team
900. 900.
Yeah, excuse me, plus 900.
Yeah.
The Rockies are plus 90,000. No, they're actually plus 100,000. So there's that. But yeah, no, I like, again, the value that you're getting. It's not totally an underdog, but you're right. You see them trending in the right direction. Sure, they didn't get to the World Series in 23 where they were at in 22, but you just look at how well everyone's playing right now. They've gotten in a groove a little bit early. They got the dogs there in the rotation, which I think is going to be the biggest piece. And and this is true, for most of the best teams in baseball, but their general manager, Dave Dombrowski is going to go out and use every tool available to him to improve that roster wherever it is that they need improving.
Absolutely. They're going for it. This is the time. You got Bryce Harper right in his prime. You want to win a World Series with Bryce Harper and with Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. pitching at the height of their powers. So I think this is the year for the Phillies. Now let's get into which betting odds. So we're going to look a little bit further down the board. So you got the Mariners plus 1,800, the Twins plus 2,000, Cubs and Brewers plus 3,000. Actually, Cubs and Guardians plus 3,000, Brewers, Blue Jays plus 4,000, Diamondbacks, Tigers, Padres, Rays plus 5,000, Reds, Mets, Giants, Cardinals plus 6,600. And then you got the Red Sox and Royals plus 8,000. And we can kind of leave the rest of the teams off here. We don't have to expect any of them to win the World Series. I was already looking at it, so I'll go first, give you some time to really make your pick. Of all of those teams, the one that I like the most at the odds, it's the Mariners at plus 1,800 because right back to pitching, right? I think they have the pitching to do it. Getting to the dance is a little more difficult, I think, for Seattle than maybe the Cubs or the Brewers, but I really think that they have the rotation to make a run through October. And we'll see what Jerry Dipoto does at the deadline. Maybe you get Tyler O'Neill, right? Maybe you get a bat. But yeah, I think the Mariners are a good bet at those odds.
I like them. I like right next to them the Rangers. Their odds have fallen a little bit to plus 1,500. Again, knowing your history, like with the Dodgers, you go, well, they always end up crumbling in October, so stay away from that. No team has won back-to-back World Series since the Yankees in 1999 and 2000. So that should take the Rangers out of that conversation. But yet, once they get back an entire starting rotation that's on the IL right now, they are one of those teams where if they can get into the postseason, like we saw last year, they can be obviously very dangerous. Same is still true of the Diamondbacks. I think there's almost like three tiers, right? There's those top 10 teams, and the Mariners and Rangers are kind of in the back end of the top 10 favorites. But it's really that middle tier where it gets fun, where these teams could either not even make the postseason at all, or they get hot like the two wildcard teams from 2023, like the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. And I feel like that middle tier is where it can really get fun.
Well, there were some people last year that got out ahead of the Diamondbacks, threw a little sprinkle on them, and then we're sitting with some crazy odds in the World Series. Like, man, I'm in line to win a lot of money on like a $10 bet because the odds were so long. So, I mean, you can say, you know what? Let me throw $10 on the Royals at plus 8,000. And you never know what's going to happen because maybe the Royals are aggressive at the deadline. They get another pitcher. They trade for Justin Verlander. Who knows what happens? Or they get a bat and all of a sudden the Royals can sneak in there and then they can make some noise. So that is a kind of a fun thing to do. You don't want to go crazy and say, hey, let me put some money on the Marlins right now to win the World Series, or just setting that on fire. But a team like the Royals that's been pretty good, that's sitting with kind of crazy odds, I wouldn't say that it's likely they're going to win the World Series, but throw $5 on it. Why not?
Yeah, they're plus 8,000 right now. So again, in that division, it increases the likelihood of them getting into October. The Reds at plus 6,600. That's somewhat sizable, and I'm sure there's a lot of Blue Jays fans out there looking at plus 4,000, saying, "Man, I'm getting a lot of value, especially since it was plus 2,000 at the start of the year." So again, that middle tier is where it can get fun. And even the Rays, like a team that you think as this perennial club that's going to make a run, or at least get to October, they're sitting at plus 5,000 right now after a plus 1,500 dip.
Yeah, I look at the Rays and the Padres right there at the same odds, and I'm like, well, no, the Padres, they've been uber aggressive. Who knows what they're going to be at the deadline if Preller does some more dealing. So, yeah, there's some value to be had a little bit lower down at this time of year where you can just throw a little bit on one of these teams, and they might be completely different come October.
Yeah, that's what makes baseball so much fun, and is you don't know what's going to happen, but you make a lot of guesses, you make a lot of predictions, you host a podcast, you say a lot of things, and you only go back and talk about the ones that you actually got right. That's why,
of course.
That's why you spread it around as much as possible.
Yeah. Volume shooters. Okay. We're not trying to just take a couple threes a game. We're throwing the shots up, and the ones that fall, we'll talk about. The other ones we'll just sweep under the rug, move on to next week, which for us will be Sunday's edition of Who's Better Baseball. We'll be live again. So appreciate all of you who tuned into the stream tonight. Make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe there as we break up these videos into smaller, more bite-sized options for you to watch individual topics. Check out the podcasts wherever you get, Apple, Spotify. You can find us there for the audio-only version of the show. Head over to our social media
at Who's Better BB.
Who's Better
On the
BB.
X machine. Yes. Yeah. Sit down with your mom on Sunday, catch her up with a lot of our predictions, go back and look through a couple of those episodes, and then, watch us live on Sunday, where we should have some mother topics. Like,
Yeah.
We know the Yankees are Pedro Martinez's daddy. Well, who's so-and-so's mother? Or who's the biggest mother? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. We'll workshop it.
Yeah, I think we need to spend we need to spend the whole next 3 days trying to workshop that, turn that into a topic. But hey, maybe we'll talk about it. And I'm sure for those of you listening, that's one you're going to want to tune in for. So check us out on Sunday.